Guys, Jeremy here from School of Wok, Covent Garden. We are doing Wok Wednesdays, and this week a really simple, classic, crispy Hong Kong style noodles with flash fried veg over the top. Yolanda, our producer, has told me I have to do something slightly differently this time. I have forgotten what she's asked me to do. Guys, don't forget to press the notification bell for updates on any of our new videos, and subscribe. This is like a 10-minute recipe, really simple, and you can put whatever veg you want on top, but I'm keeping it nice and simple today. And the first thing we're going to do is just finely slice some spring onion that will go in sort of strands over the top of the noodles. I've got some cold water here for my spring onion, so once I've sliced my matchsticks, they should sort of curl nicely so we can sit them on top of the noodles in a nice pretty way. There's different ways of cooking these noodles. In Hong Kong, for breakfast, you wouldn't have the crispy version. You'd have sort of just a normal stir-fried version of these noodles. But then for the side of, usually with dim sum, you'd have all the different dumplings, and then you have a side of noodles, and that's when you have the crispy noodle dish. Sometimes with slithers of pork, but we're keeping this nice and veggie. So I've got some cabbage here. You can use any sort of crunchy cabbage. Chinese leaf works too, but I quite like white cabbage, green cabbage, Savoy. You want to go really fine slices of cabbage. And this is to flash fry just before my bean sprouts. It's a nice fine cabbage. And then my bean sprouts, just for you guys, I've picked the bean sprouts. And actually in Hong Kong or in Asia, you get the sort of aunties and uncles who look after just bean sprout stores. They sell bean sprouts and soya bean products, you know, things like tofu and bean sprouts, and that's it. But they'll spend a lot of the day sort of picking their bean sprouts clean for you. You don't get that luxury here in the UK, so you have to do it yourself if you want your bean sprouts nice and clean and crunchy. Always give your bean sprouts a good clean before you use them. Just wash them through sort of 3 or 4 times, and then they'll come out nice and crisp. Another little tip with bean sprouts is when you buy your bean sprouts, if they come in a bag or whatever, I would wash them straight away and then keep them in a Tupperware full of cold water in the fridge, and that'll keep them for a lot longer than if it's in this bag. So I've got my wok clock of ingredients, not that many ingredients really here, but my spring onion goes at the very end. Then I'm going to make up a quick sauce. I've got about a tablespoon of light soy, a teaspoon of dark soy, and then a little bit of rice wine, and the same amount of sesame oil, and then salt and sugar. We're going for 1/4 teaspoon or a pinch of both, and the same amount of white pepper. And for this amount of noodle, I'm just going to double that actually and give myself a little bit more to work with. You don't want excessive amounts of sauce, but you want enough to sort of create some steam in the wok. I just doubled up the sauces, but we'll leave the salt and sugar quantity as is. My sauce ready on my wok clock. Everything ready to go apart from the noodles. Noodles I've pre-prepared, and I'll show you what I've done. Literally just soaked these egg noodles in hot water for about 3 minutes, and then strained them and dried them on this clean tea towel. The drier the better with this, because I want to get these nice and crispy, and I always want to sort of clump them together in the frying pan to fry them off before I then stir fry the veg. So you need a fair amount of oil in the bottom of your pan to get these nice and crispy. And I don't use this utensil that often, but I've got my non-stick spatula here so I can get into that non-stick pan. Here's my QVC moment. This non-stick spatula is the perfect tool for cooking anything you want in a non-stick pan. That's my terrible American accent, and you probably don't want to put that on.
No, I'm going to. I'm going to get shot of it spinning on. Where can we get it, Jez?
Well, you can buy all of our utensils, much like the woks and everything else, on the schoolofwok.co.uk website or on Amazon. You can see now my oil is nice and hot and these noodles are sizzling straight away. What you want to do, as I say, is put enough noodles in the pan so they can almost cake together a little. They'll still be separate, but I want them to get nice and crisp. It's on a high heat right now, and what I'm going to do is just press down into the noodles so that they sort of hold their shape enough, hopefully. And we're going to fry these for about 3 to 4 minutes. And once you've had that initial seal of your noodles, then you want to turn your heat down to a medium heat so that they can crisp up slowly and not burn, get a nice golden brown finish. So I can see from the top here that they're crisping up nicely on the base. So this is a point where you want to flip it like a pancake. Oh. And then just press that down and cook the other side exactly the same way, and it'll stay together really nicely now. So whilst that's the other side of those noodles are crisping up nicely, we're just going to wok fry your veg. A little bit of oil, smoking hot wok. Your cabbage can go in. We want to keep the crunch of the cabbage and all your veg really. It doesn't need a lot of frying at all. Just flick that around and flash fry for about a minute. It just brings out the sort of rawness of the cabbage. I'm going to get a little bit of colour on the cabbage, but not too much. And then my noodles just go straight onto the plate like so. And then lay your cabbage gently over the top of that. And this is all about texture, this. Back onto a high heat. And this needs to be really, really smoking hot before I flash fry my bean sprouts. When you flash fry your bean sprouts, it's nice to add a little bit of pinch of sort of salt and pepper before I then put the sauce over, which also has the salt and pepper in there anyway, but it just brings out a little bit of the flavour, the natural flavour of the bean sprouts. A small amount of oil, really, really smoking hot. The bean sprouts, when you're frying bean sprouts, you should always have that sizzling sound. Pepper, a pinch of salt, flick those through, and then let them cook again on that really high heat before you then flick them through again, and then back down on heat. Not too much tossing through, but you do want to sort of move that wok's air around. You know, there is technique even to cooking something as simple as this. And then just as they're starting to wilt a little, let the wok come up to a really good heat. Your sauce is ready, and your sauce just gets poured around the edge of that wok. Flick that through, and then straight over the top, like so. Really simple cooking. That sauce should just drip into the noodles there. It's very easy to have this sort of tendency to overcook your veg. But with this dish, it's, as I say, all about crunch and texture. Really simple, but technical cooking. I've got my chopsticks ready, but I'm just going to show you how crispy these noodles are. What happens with the noodles is they crisp up, but also with the sauce, it kind of soaks in even more into the crispy parts of the noodles. And then obviously you want a load of that cabbage and the bean sprouts in there as well. Taste. You can tell I'm hungry because I'm serving myself a whole bowl up before I take a bite. You wonder, you know, with these ingredients, if you stir fry the noodles just with the same sauce, you'd pretty much have a chow mein. But just from changing the cooking technique alone, it's completely transformed this dish into something totally new. And that is the beauty of Chinese cooking. So if you want to learn more about these sorts of techniques and how to sort of control your wok and your pans in the right way, understand that heat Now, heat transfer. Don't forget, we've got loads more recipes on the School of Wok channel. So subscribe, hit that notification bell. Whew, said it right this time. And like.